funding continue to support psychosocial programming in the different refugee camps. This is a really important image as far as having parents and children, not just kids working together, but also having full families involved. And that was a huge emphasis of the work that we were doing. And this additionally having people who were artists when they were in Syria being able to come and work on the mural and being able to help children and work with their families. And this is an artist that me and this is Joel Ritter there who I worked with when we were in Jordan. As well as the actual iconography, which was a lot based on kind of universal images of animals and people and homes and kind of a longing for return. And when you start to look at some of these images that these kids are creating, it's amazing that when you really look deeply, you also notice that it's not just, for example, a donkey, it's a donkey that's shedding a tear. So there are all these kind of signs of some of the different kind of problems that we'll be discussing, I think, tonight. And then this is at the final exhibition. There was one in Amman, one in Brussels, one in Germany, one in Portland, and that each of these was able to continue supporting the program. And then these are a series of videos, but I'm going to finish off and then I'm going to show like a 30-second clip. Then about 6 months after that, I worked in Turkey, a place called Rahamna, which is on the border of Aleppo. And the work we were doing there was in winter. And we were working with a school called Al Salam School, which was a school that was established by a woman from Canada. And the work that we were doing when we were there was very much based on bringing not just artists, but also a dentistry clinic and storytelling and photography to be able to utilize all of these different mediums when working with 1,500 kids in this school on the Turkish border. We're also working with local Turkish kids, people that have the host community and the refugee communities, being able to be in communication with each other. This is a canvas mural that we did. You can actually see in Arabic that says the train back to Syria, which was kind of what was kind of one of the pervasive themes here. That was really important to the kids that we were working with. And also this idea of communication. What does that mean? How can communication exist in a healthy way? And what is it that we wanted to see for the future of their lives and of their communities? And if it's going to be establishing a community in Turkey or going back to Syria. And what I was working with was a group called the Karam Foundation, as well as Zaytuna, which is the name of the actual program that we were working with. And then I returned to a camp called Azra, which was a second camp that was created. And while I was there, it had just opened only about a week before I arrived. And you can kind of see it looks a bit different. In Zachary, it is kind of tense as far as I can see this. It's all white, kind of Monopoly house looking environment, all made out of sheet metal. And this is an environment on the northern border that is really desolate, where the Jordanian government said it needed to be as far away from any population as possible. So we were also doing canvas work here as well as a series of wall pieces. And so you can get an idea of some of the kids that we were working with. The primary ages were between 8 to 14, with boys and girls kind of painting separately. But again, there was a big emphasis on being able to have everybody working together. It's not just one-on-one, it's being able to have people who face a common situation, a common trauma. How can we deal with these problems together? And so these were a drawing workshop that we would do before we started the canvas mural. And these are some of the drawings. I also actually have some of the original drawings with me here. So afterwards, you'll can see it. I also do music, relief music therapy. So this is something called a hoppy drum, where all the kids can be able to play music together and be able to have that be a way of kind of getting ready to actually do the expression of painting. So relationship between a drumstick. And what's really important, and this is one of the most important images, is you can see they're looking at a book. And this book is of images from kids from Mexico, from Colombia, from Cuba, from New Zealand, Australia, Canada, from different areas around the world. So they realize that they are in communication with other communities. And that it's not just a one-time experience for them, but they're actually bringing international dialogue through this network called Artolution, like an evolution or a solution or a revolution or a revolution. And so a lot of this is also about experimentation with materials, being able to have a certain element of fun and expression that's meaningful as well. And one of the elements as well is having kids who had difficult experiences from different parts of the country and different ethnicities, be able to come together and make a single story. So when the drawings are there, and I'm sure you'll hear some of the similar things, there's very difficult drawings to look at. And so when you see these drawings of all these really horrible, traumatic experiences, how do you take those drawings and put them together into something positive? That's a really difficult question. So we had these conversations, and it was actually this boy right here, and he said, and we were asking, okay, how can we take these things and put them into something positive? And they said, well, what if we try to fix Syria? And that became the theme. How are we going to fix the problems that have happened in this kind of war-stricken country? And we were able to have a lot of local people who weren't children come and participate as well. Being able to have women and men, being able to have families, grandparents, as well as children and their younger siblings as well. And there's also a lot of instruction as well, asking, okay, well, if you've never painted before, what is painting and how can I use to take my ideas and put them out into the world? And sometimes a lot of this was also being able to just have some way to let out sometimes certain aggression that needs to be let out in a healthy way. So whether that be through spray painting, whether that be to paint really, really, really hard, it's a way that can allow an expression that then you can look back and make it something that's creative. And then you look at some of the imagery that was painted here as well, and it's something that's very reminiscent of kind of allegories that are constantly referencing we want to return to home. And this was a girl that I was working with only on the last day. This is the daughter of a girl who was 13 years old, and she had a 1-year-old daughter. And she was married to a man that was in his 40s. And after we had this kind of a conversation, we decided we wanted to paint a piece of kind of a memorial to all the mothers, to all the women of India. And so we ended up painting this piece that was kind of this woman that was referencing the globe of the world. And you can see what the environment looks like and where it is. So it's not tents. You can see it's all of these different kind of shacks where people live. We additionally painted the child-friendly space with Mercy Corps. That's what this project was through. So we painted the entire inside of the space so that it was something that was this permanent kind of gift of the entire space being transformed. And so these are all the boys that we worked with, and these are all of the girls as well. And in addition, you can see these collages almost of images, right, that are really created by the hands of these children. So when you look up close, you can start to see this is one of the big ideas they wanted, which was a hand holding a hammer, which is the idea of fixing, right, of building, of rebuilding things that have been destroyed. And a lot of the girls created images of being married, of wanting to be married, and to have what does it mean to have a healthy marriage, and hearing what they had to say about that. And as well as even just things that look like simple faces, you see some of the emotion that comes through this. And you can see that there's a lot behind the faces as an allegory to something much larger. And so this is one of the final pieces that we created. And I think, I don't know if it's possible, I have about a 30-second kind of short film to see if it plays. And if so, this was made by UNICEF, who worked with them. And let's see. Yeah, if not, then I can.
الشيخ حابب احكي انه اطفال سوريا حزن وما يكون بسبب الحرب. وصلت هناك بيت وجنبه شجر كتبت له احنا فيكم في سوريا. هذا شيء ايجابي انه احنا نرجع لسوريا.
مثلا طفل عاطفي مثلا بيرسم نفس الشيء اللي هو مثلا معتمد فيه احيانا بيكون الطفل يعني.
So we have to get to kind of the next presentations, but a big element of this is also being able to train people who are still living in the camps to continue to facilitate these kinds of workshops sustainably. So it's not just a one-time thing where you come in and be able to do these projects, but it's much more something that you can kind of continue in an ongoing way. So please feel free to check out the work afterwards. And thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm Morgan. I'm a photographer and also a professor in the journalism school. I'm in the photography department there. I've been a documentary photographer for a journalist for 25 years, and probably like many people here, I was quite horrified and upset to read you a kind of formal project description, and I'll take you through some photographs. It's called Making Space Inside Its Walls. Produced in 2014, the project Making Space transformed the 120-meter concrete barbed wire security wall at the entrance to the Zatra camp into a massive photographic mural depicting these refugees on a monumental scale. The mural is visible to both the subjects of the photographs and to the visitors, stakeholders, and diplomats who decide their fate. The project borrowed some of the visual language of photojournalism, but required consent and collaboration. The security wall is a highly contested space, with multiple parties claiming ownership. Violence is a real possibility there. Respect for cultural and religious norms of representation was primary consideration. The images also have to strike a particular truth, that to negotiate the space between the grim reality of the camp